Tim, a video game programmer, recalls the time when he and his wife Olivia were happy about their upcoming child. Unfortunately, Olivia suffers a miscarriage, plunging both of them into a state of despair. One day, Tim notices a housefly trapped under an upside-down glass. He carefully picks up the glass and walks toward the window to set it free, but he accidentally bumps into the table, causing the fly to remain trapped inside the house. Afterward, he washes his face, looks into the mirror, and tries to let go of the past. Soon after, Olivia arrives unexpectedly, surprising Tim. She takes him out of the apartment, telling him she has something to show him. On the way, Tim and Olivia come across Mr. Friedman, the owner of the building. Seconds later, Tim, Olivia, and Mr. Friedman see helicopters flying to the harbor district, which has caught fire. From a bird's eye view, we see that the building where Tim and Olivia live is under renovation. Olivia wants to turn over a new leaf after losing her child and wants Tim to come with her to Paris. Tim says, "I also want to come with you, but my job doesn't allow me to do so, and I can't quit my job." This disheartens Olivia. Afterward, they return home. Olivia wants to move on in her life, but Tim doesn't. At night, Tim doesn't find Olivia in the bed, prompting him to look for her in the house. Not long after, he finds her ready to leave for Paris and walk out on their relationship. She opens the door only to find a brick wall outside, which baffles both Tim and Olivia. Olivia believes Tim doesn't want her to go, and that's why he has created this wall. But Tim explains that he has nothing to do with this. Olivia quickly looks for another way out, but finds that the entire apartment has been walled in by strange black bricks. They discover that all of their windows are bricked in as well. Olivia tries to contact Mr. Friedman to inform him about it, but there is no network on her phone. They attempt to damage the wall with a drill but fail, finding it impenetrable. The couple is completely at their wits' end over the sudden appearance of the wall overnight. At the same time, they hear someone crying for help on the other side of the wall. Olivia drills a hole in the wall large enough to communicate with a couple named Anna and Marvin, who are stranded in another apartment. Anna and Marvin are drug users and are panicking, convinced that they are going to die. Tim notices that the water supply in their apartment has also run out, but for some reason, the power supply is still on. Olivia blames Tim for the situation, saying, "We could have left yesterday if you had agreed." This causes a fallout between Tim and Olivia. Moments later, Tim notices a tiny metallic object being pulled toward the wall, revealing that the wall is magnetic. To make sure, he sticks many objects made of iron to the wall. Olivia deduces that the blocks which hold many articles have the strongest magnetic field. Olivia places all the things in one place and waits for the result. Not long after, the items shoot back at Tim and Olivia, forcing them to duck in time. However, Tim is severely injured while protecting his wife, as most of the sharp objects penetrate into his back. Olivia tenderly pulls out the pointy objects from Tim's back and patches the minor wounds, realizing that she was going to blunder by dumping him. On the other side of the wall, panicked Anna and Marvin keep making heavy weather of the tense situation. Therefore, Tim widens the hole to go through it. Holding a baseball bat, Tim enters the neighbor's apartment with Olivia and begins looking for Anna and Marvin. They find the room in disarray and soon discover Anna lying unconscious and injured on the floor. Olivia helps her come around and starts getting her out of the apartment. Shortly, Tim is ambushed by Marvin, who begins choking him to death. Just then, Olivia attacks Marvin with an itching spray, causing him to release Tim. Tim counterattacks Marvin, but just in time. Anna intervenes and tells him that Marvin isn't the one who injured her. Instead, he was helping her bring down the wall. Later, Tim tapes Marvin's hands together as he is under the influence of the substance. Afterward, Tim tries to bring down the wall with an axe, but the wall remains unharmed, leaving Tim and Olivia to be cast down. Olivia makes a plan to escape the apartment. She lays out her plan and explains that the building was constructed nearby in 1897. An air-raised shelter was added during the Second World War, and some of those shelters connect to the subway system. Tim then begins breaking holes in the floor to reach the basement. In a matter of moments, they make a large hole through the floor. First, Tim descends into the basement using a makeshift ladder made of their clothes. Olivia gives him his bat for protection. Meanwhile, an elderly man named Oswald, who lives in the apartment, arrives and points his gun at Tim. He orders Tim to get back upstairs immediately. Tim and the others try to convince Oswald, but he stands his ground. Before the situation gets worse, Oswald's granddaughter, Leah, arrives and asks him to stop. Oswald tells her that these people will kill them for their food supply within the next 3 days. Then, Leah explains that they can escape the apartment if they help Tim and the others find the tunnel. Oswald understands the gravity of the situation, puts his gun down, and reveals that there is a tunnel right below the basement. As a result, everyone goes downstairs without fear of Oswald. Marvin takes an axe and begins tearing down the floor to reach the tunnel with the others. Meanwhile, Tim casually dismantles a device and finds a pre-installed camera inside. This makes Tim suspicious, prompting him to ask Mr. Oswald if that belongs to him. Mr. Oswald visibly disowns the detector and reveals that it was Mr. Friedman who installed them. Tim immediately gets up and begins checking the house for more detectors. He finds another one attached to the kitchen ceiling. He removes it using a mop and discovers a pre-installed camera inside, revealing that they are being watched. This sends a wave of panic through the people trapped inside the building. As a result, they bring down the wall and enter Mr. Friedman's apartment, the owner of the building, to have the answers. Tim, Olivia, and Marvin enter the room through the hole, leaving the rest of them back in the room. Tim, holding a baseball bat, begins looking for Mr. Friedman. They eventually enter a room only to discover Mr. Friedman sitting dead against the wall. Tim and the others observe that the murderer has butchered both hands of Mr. Friedman. Everyone is horrified by this disturbing sight, and Olivia starts panicking. Tim encourages her to focus on her breath that helps her calm down. Afterward, Tim picks up Friedman's phone and discovers several video footage. Possibly Mr. Friedman might have learned about a way out. Subsequently, they all return to Mr. Oswald's apartment. Marvin starts breaking the floor to make a hole through it to reach the tunnel. Shortly, he demolishes the floor. With the debris, Marvin and the others also fall into the basement. In this mishap, everyone becomes injured. Leah helps her grandfather descend into the basement. Upon arriving downstairs, Tim and the others come across a hefty man called Yuri, who warmly welcomes them. He explains that he is a good friend of Anton, and he has also been stuck there since visiting Anton. Yuri asks them why they broke into Anton's apartment through the ceiling. Tim replies that there is an old air raid shelter in the basement that leads to an exit. Then, Yuri tells them they have no idea what is going on around there and reveals that there is contamination outside, and the wall is a defensive measure that provides high-tech security. Tim and the others are taken aback by Yuri's weird explanation and ask him about Anton. So Yuri takes all of them to Anton's room, where Anton is lying dead in his bed. Yuri reveals that Anton suffered heart failure that led to his death. Then, everyone leaves to find the tunnel except for Leah, who begins examining the notes Anton had made. In the next scene, Tim and the others demolish the floor, creating a large hole. Tim and Olivia then descend into the basement one by one and start searching for the tunnel. Olivia breaks the lock, unlocks the door, and enters. Shortly after, the rest of the group also reaches the tunnel, while Yuri keeps a close watch on them from upstairs. As soon as Olivia opens the door, she and the others find an impregnable wall on the other side. Yuri smiles upon hearing their screams. Everyone panics upon seeing a 7-foot wall even underground. Frustrated Marvin picks up an axe and strikes at the wall. Tim and Mr. Oswald ask him to calm down. Nevertheless, Marvin wrests Mr. Oswald's gun and fires at the wall to put his mind at peace. But to their astonishment, the bullets shoot back at them. Everyone gets down in time except for Mr. Oswald, who collapses onto the floor after getting hit by a bullet that leads to his death. Leah cries her heart out at her grandfather's sudden demise. Afterward, the rest of them sit down and begin revealing their near-death experience. Leah discloses that her mother died of cancer 2 years ago, and her mother's death also killed her. Yuri explains that he killed someone when he was on duty as a policeman, and he regrets it even today. Then, Yuri asks Tim and Olivia to disclose their experience. Olivia explains that she and Tim recently lost their child. Tim takes Olivia to a room and gets livid with her for publicly revealing such a secret to unknown folks like Yuri and the others. Olivia says to Tim, "You sat down in front of your computer after we returned from the hospital empty-handed. When I needed you back then, that's when you ran away." After that, She leaves, leaving Tim shattered from within. Tim comes out and states that they can't sit around and wait for a miracle. He suggests that they should go to Friedman's apartment and search for any documents or plans for the renovation, the video surveillance, or anything that can show them a way out. Tim taps on the wall only to find another room on the other side of the wall. Marvin comes upon a remote-like device and shows it to him. In Anton's room, Leah and Olivia discover a business card, Epsilon Nano Defense written on it. They inquire Yuri about it. Yuri explains, Anton was a programmer and he never talked about his work. Olivia gets suspicious of Yuri. Leah discovers a map from the drawer and shows it to Olivia. On the other side, to decode the password, Tim gently applies some flour to the device. Anna goes to bring the others back. With his bizarre theories, Yuri keeps terrifying Leah and Olivia. Just then, Anna arrives and tells them they have found something very helpful. Olivia and Yuri immediately leave, but Leah doesn't. Tim manages to decode the password and successfully unlocks the door. Tim and Marvin enter it only to find 3 computers, using which Mr. Friedman has been stalking all the people who are trapped in the building. This catches Tim and Marvin off guard. Soon everyone arrives in the monitoring room and sees this. In one of the footage, Tim and others spot a wall magically appearing behind a door and witnessing this incident. No one can believe what they just saw. In Anton's room, Leah tries to decode the blueprint made by Anton. She quietly approaches Anton and removes his scarf only to discover that Anton had been smothered to death a long time ago. Olivia and the others turn around and don't find Yuri in the room, prompting Marvin to go and look for him. Tim, Olivia, and Anna spot Anton in the footage trying to unlock the mysterious door. Holding a dagger in his hand, Marvin walks into Anton's room and finds Yuri burning Anton's documents. On the other hand, Tim and Olivia discover Yuri hurting and stopping Anton from opening the door. Marvin steps farther and sees his fiancée lying dead on the floor near Anton's bed. Maniac Yuri tells Marvin that the wall is protecting them from the radiation. Meanwhile, Yuri throttles Anton to death, as Anton had discovered a way to unlock the wall. Tim takes Mr. Oswald's gun and rushes to Anton's room and finds Yuri holding Marvin captive. Stalwart Yuri overpowers Tim and knocks out both Tim and Marvin. Then, he gets all over Tim and begins choking him. Meanwhile, Marvin gets up and kicks Yuri, knocking him down. Just then, Olivia and Anna rush in and ask Marvin and Tim not to shoot Yuri, as he is the only one who knows a way out. So they keep Yuri alive and tie him to a chair. Afterward, they arrive in Anton's room and realize that Yuri killed Leah because she had found a way out just like Anton. Sometime later, Tim and the others interrogate Yuri about how the wall opens. Yuri reveals that the Harbor District fire occurred at Epsilon Nano Defense, and that the fire triggered a defense system surrounding the entire city. It is a kind of defense mechanism designed to protect against atomic, biological, and chemical attacks. Olivia then asks why Anton would want to leave the place if there was an ongoing war outside. Yuri explains that Anton believed it was just a system malfunction caused by the fire. Marvin, overcome with rage, strikes Yuri, but Tim pulls him away, urging him to get a hold of himself. After this, they watch footage showing Anton working tirelessly to solve the mystery of the wall. Tim notices that Anton used his mobile phone's flashlight to open the wall, as light is an electromagnetic wave. Using the same method, Tim, Olivia, and Anna approach the magnetic wall and find some symbols on the mobile screen that need decoding. Tim sequentially presses the buttons, causing the wall to liquefy. Anna puts her hand through the opening, but it becomes stuck. The others attempt to pull her back, but the portal begins to swallow her. Soon after, the wall starts hardening again, throwing everyone into a panic. Though Olivia, Marvin, and Tim try to rescue Anna, they are only able to retrieve her upper body. Marvin breaks down in tears, while Yuri, in the distance, bursts into laughter. In a fit of rage, Marvin opens fire on Yuri, killing him. Then, overcome with grief, Marvin takes his own life, leaving Tim and Olivia on their own. Tim and Olivia return to the wall with the phone. Tim presses the buttons in sequence, but the wall does not open. They then see further footage revealing how Anton managed to open the wall using his phone's flashlight. Meanwhile, in another room, Yuri resurrects. After understanding the correct method, Olivia and Tim approach the wall again. Just then, they are attacked by lurking Yuri, who assaults Tim with a cleaver, quickly knocking him down. He then turns to Olivia, who backs away and falls into the basement in fear. At that moment, Tim rushes forward and kicks Yuri into the basement. Tim then descends after him and escapes with Olivia while being pursued. Tim and Olivia flee into a room. Yuri tries to break in, but Tim holds the door shut to keep him out, while Olivia attempts to open the wall. She succeeds just as Yuri bursts into the room and begins thrashing Tim. As the wall opens, Yuri moves to kill Tim with a sharp cleaver, but Olivia kills him with an axe, saving her husband. They then enter a tunnel that leads them out of the building. Upon stepping into the outside world, Tim and Olivia discover that the entire town is walled in, trapping people inside their apartments. They are baffled, as there is no sign of human life in the town. Finally, they find their van parked along the road, get into it, and drive off, and this marks the end of this movie.